Hello, folks. Um, I was going to write an article about this, why I want to leave Twitter, and why you should too, and what your strategy should be going forward. But I decided probably to do a video where I can kind of talk more. This video, if you can see it now, it's going to have some of my sketching that I was doing earlier in the week. I wanted to set up a kind of sketch with me video that I would do once a week. It's kind of a thought, an idea I had going forward, and it sort of ties into what the strategy is of getting off Twitter. So, if you're following me on Twitter, I've been talking about this for a while, that the recent purge of looks like right wing accounts or MAGA accounts or QAnon accounts, what have you, or QAnon, I don't know how to say it, or just people leaving because they see the writing on the wall, so to speak. And just kind of starting, kind of like mulling over this and just seeing where the tea leaves are going. During the kind of Cultural Revolution part of the summer, I decided to, use my platform. Well, I don't really have a platform, but use my existing Twitter presence that I was using for, my art and trying to build my brand to speak up because of the things that I saw that was happening to the West, and mainly in the United States as the kind of front and center piece of everything. Because I see that, as you probably know if you follow me, I see that liberty is dying, and so is the liberal values of the Enlightenment, reason, science, liberty. And so I wanted to speak up. And I wanted to kind of wake up as many people to try to end what was happening peacefully. And I knew that there was going to be it was just kind of escalate towards the election. And, I predicted that they weren't going to let Trump win and that Biden would win and that it would look like it was probably shady at some level. And, that's what happened. And then, obviously, after the Capitol. So I was writing this book that I might still go into, but I was kind of waiting for the chapter that I'm on for all the election stuff to be over with. And my rabbit just decided to push his cage over. Didn't like it, closed in. So if you're hearing noises, yeah, I get it, bud. Thanks. Where was I? So, yeah, so the election stuff's over. Obviously, the Capitol Hill thing, and what we're seeing now with all the tech platforms, colluding with the Democrats fully. Like, it went through all the election cycle, and now it's going full on with banning and censoring and everyone cheering. So people are leaving. The stock's already dropping. They silenced Trump and booted him off the main platforms. YouTube, I think today is just banned his account. So I mean, the writing's on the wall of what they're doing for him and where it's coming for anybody who supported him. And what supported him means is right now they're going to go after all the domestic terrorists, which is probably most likely all the groups like Boogaloo Boys and Proud Boys and MAGA and QAnon people will be the main first targets, and then anybody who just speaks out against the woke and stuff will be next. So it basically comes down to okay. It comes down to what's gonna be left on Twitter. So Twitter was kind of a great place where you could have influence because that's where all the political discourse was talking, and you had everybody centralized kind of on these platforms, right? And Twitter was the one where the dialogue was the most. Facebook's kind of more of a where's my coffee? Hold on, let me get a coffee. Facebook's more of a echo chamber to me. I feel that most people just have already purged their right wing friends and yada 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 and don't interact with them, and they just talk to themselves. So yeah, there's still probably some right wing people on there that also have a echo chamber. But Twitter's becoming that. So recently, also I've seen some alt bots with like a couple followers trying to either follow me or just respond a lot more than I used to. So, that could be a couple of things. It could be that, getting rid of all the other kind of sludge of, bots and alt accounts they deleted, and then purging right-wing accounts and purging, and then people leaving, that there's a little bit more open space for these people to kind of locate you. But it seems much more of like you have the left and the Democrats and people in power fueling this rhetoric of go after the people that caused this, and now you have a bunch of either they're bots or employees of Twitter or Amazon or just bots in general, or they're just people that are like become radicalized and are starting to like search for people who are speaking out and doing who knows what with that information, either just to troll you or to whatever, potentially dox you, or who knows. I try to block those right away, but just seeing more of that, like, who wants to deal with that, right? Like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have I want to be in a social media that's nice. Like, my ideal of when I go to the other social medias, it's refreshing because I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to be talking about any of this, but we're in a revolution, and Twitter is where the conversation was. And my whole reason for wanting to leave that platform is that I believe the conversation has ended. They're ending it. I believe this is a full fascist takeover that's going to be authoritarian, and they're going to root out anybody who speaks against it, and they're going to get their censorship plans, and you're going to be silenced, removed from certain things, not able to get a job and have a presence. And the reason I was on Twitter and took to the fight is because there was people that it influenced. So I was trying to reach people that were kind of normies and maybe not paying attention, and be like, hey, take a look at this. This is kind of not what's going on. Try to feed them the red pill, or show them the lies and stuff, and hoping that enough people could wake up and talk. And I wanted to show people that if they were scared to speak out because of the woke, that it's okay to speak out, like I'm doing it, and then other people. And I gained like double followers since I started this campaign, mostly of like-minded people. And so there was an awakening, and there's more and more people seeing it, but a lot of those people also just left Twitter. And with this rhetoric going up, and the Capitol having armed militias, and this narrative that's going around that they're going after Trump, and they're going after the supporters, and if they try something, like, there's a like dangerous rhetoric of things like this. There haven't been army inside the Congress since 1812 or some nonsense, like comparing an unfortunate series of events of people going into LARP as a protest that got out of hand and violent, and you know, it wasn't going to accomplish anything, and only just fed into the narrative of the new fascists of these people need to be removed. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of information in there, and I don't think we'll ever really know. That I'm sure there was some provocateurs, and there's some information coming out about that sort of thing. But nothing can be taken at face value here. So if you've seen me on Twitter, I've labeled this as the first half of the Reichstag fire, and I think there's more coming. I think there's more coming for Inauguration Day or before it. So, it's a dark picture I've been warning about for the summer, and I think it's going to get a lot darker, and the ability to move people over and wake them up in time to resolve things peacefully so that we can maintain a civil society that was structured the way it was, I think that's gone now. I think the best peaceful scenario at this point is some sort of secession in the West of the two different factions. There's two different types of people. Well, I mean, there's multiple different groups within those groups, but there's two major opposing factions that just can't live with each other. So it's either a totalitarian system that squashes and kills people and oppresses them because of their political beliefs, or there's a separation. And separation is a much more peaceful one. But, I see other people talking about this, but they refuse to kind of talk about the elephant in the room. The left's not going to let that happen. The people who want this authority and this authoritarian takeover don't want an alternative. Because if they see people living happily and free, they're going to want to go over there. They'll have to squash that out immediately. So they'll never let that happen. The cathedral won't let it happen, and the establishment won't let it happen. So, I mean, there's little hope for me to think that might work. There could be a movement, I think, that would be the safest movement because it's peaceful. Let's secede. We're not seditious, and we're not inciting violence, and we're not doing that. We don't want to do that. You're not going to win against the U.S. military. Nor should you try. So we would want to secede. And this is sort of what I'm symbolically doing, and others are symbolically doing. I don't want to be a part of their world. As long as there's an option for me to remove myself from that, I'm going to secede from it peacefully. I want to go, and what I've been doing on some of the other sites is just go back to, I want to build a business, I want to build a culture, I want to build my art, I want to make my comic books, I want to make my paintings, and I want to do it good enough that I can get an audience, and you guys might want to read some of my books or buy some of my paintings or hire me to paint something for you. That's what I want to do. Build stories and look towards some sort of future, as long as we can have that space to do it. And we'll have to do the slow move now of trying to trying to influence people through our art and through our culture and through thoughts, reason, science. We're going to have to create a whole actual resistance of Enlightenment culture or neo-Enlightenment culture. And I think that's where we all need to go. I think, yeah, my rabbit's chewing on the cage. He's just like me on Twitter. Let me out of here. But I mean, I don't want it to sound like it's me being frightened on Twitter, but you do stay there. You're going to, even right now you do, but after the inaugurations, it's going to come down hard, I think. And if you're still there, speaking of, if you've spoken out against anything and your account's still there, and I know there's archive and stuff, but if you still have those tweets up, and they'll find you and they'll come after you. You'll have a target on your back. You spoke out against the new regime, and there'll be no more of the far right people. You'll be the far right now, and you'll be the alt right, and you'll be the domestic terrorists, and they'll come after you. And you won't be influencing anybody. People are dug in now. There's no way of, especially what's about to probably occur, and I'm really hopeful still that nothing bad happens on Inauguration Day and people stay away, and that I'm wrong about them wanting to stage the second part of the Reichstag fire. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am. Once that happens, they'll come down even harder. And if you're still there on Twitter, which will be a witch hunting to the max, and this is YouTube as well. I don't know if I'll upload this to YouTube at all, or just start making my channel at one of the other alt sites that I'll obviously let you guys know, like I think Rumble or something. Yeah, but in Twitter specifically, you're gonna be a target. So I told before the Capitol Hill thing, I said you should get off. Someone accused me of wanting to take down the government because I said you should get off Twitter because you got to take away the power of these social medias if you just leave Twitter, and somehow that's the government. So not fascist at all. He was one of those bot things that was stalking me. So you're gonna be a target like that. They'll come after you because there'll be less other targets for you. So you'll just be a sitting duck. Now, who are you gonna influence? Who at this point isn't woken up to the thing? And if they're not woken up now, what's gonna wake them up? At this point, they won't wake up until after whatever atrocities are happening. And there won't be any sort of environment on Twitter to coerce them. Everything is getting even more hyperbolic into conspiracy theory, and now with the domestic terrorism charges about everything, you're gonna have these lefties that are already deranged and QAnon-like level of conspiracy theory are going to be frothing even more at the mouth to find all of them. And I don't want to, why stay there? If you don't have influence over anybody to speak out, to reach them, why stay there? To let the other side know that you're thinking what you're thinking? No, I think the strategy now is to decentralize. I think the government needs to be decentralized. I think the West needs to be decentralized. I think that's the way forward to any peaceful sort of existence with technology, is to decentralize it. The centralization is the damaging. You're seeing the results of what true fascism is. You have these massive corporations that are essentially nationalized already. They're working in tandem with Democrats. It's clear to see that that's what's happening to anybody who's paying attention. And they're going to rule with an iron fist, and they're trying to take out all the competitors. So, yeah, the competitors, that might go away. We might be ultimately screwed, but the fight has to be going to we need to start creating something. We need to start creating our own stuff, and I'm not going to these other medias to talk about politics because I know that the people there are already kind of with me in most of my thinking. They're either, not going to be following some mega like extremists, and I don't know if there's any far left extremists over there, but so far I haven't seen any, and it's not like the woke influence on Twitter always getting into your stuff. So, for now, it seems to be somewhat even keeled. People just want to do their stuff in the art world. That people just want to post their art. But back to social media before all this insanity took over, before the algorithms and everything directed you into the hate content and the divisive content and the shadowing some of your posts and having them see other people see what they want them to see, all that stuff. So already it seems a lot more fun. I can interact with the things that I actually want to interact with. I'm just gonna be a point blank. You're not gonna beat the time for beating back this cultural revolution from taking over was pre-election. If the election would have given us time, if Trump won, he would have at least been able to hold them back, the woke back, and the establishment back enough that we could have, mounted some sort of campaign of liberty and liberal values and try to confront the woke with arguments and wake people up to be like, the dangers of thinking of this ideology that's extremely racist and divisive and being very destructive. That time, the last chance for that to happen was the election. So while you saw a lot of people hoping, me included, that if there was fraud, which I suspect there was, the fraud did happen. It's just whether the amounts of fraud that was being claimed was accurate, and we won't know because it's never got into front of court. So there's a lot of, you're seeing the establishment shut down. It's protecting itself, right? And it's a lot of people in the establishment see the writings on the wall, and they're trying to survive. And you should be thinking that as well. So kind of hoped for that. And people think I'm a Donald Trump supporter. I think he's funny. I think once you get out of the hysterical mindset that you've been fed from the media and from the left, from the real true fascist, he's just Donald Trump. He is who he is. His speeches, he's just being like a comedian. He's funny. But, I don't think he was intellectually up to the task of what we needed, but to fight back tyranny. He had the energy and the bombasticness to rally people, but wasn't refined enough to maybe hone it in the right channels and proper directions. But anyway, so that's gone. I also hear people saying that there's going to be, in 4 years there'll be a new Donald Trump, could be worse. No, that's, again, you're thinking still old world. This is a new world now. This is Fourth Reich territory, and there won't be another true election again. I know in Canada they're talking about having an election, and I'm pretty sure that would be the last real election. This is the Great Reset, and it's a great reset into a Fourth Reich of neo-fascism. It's postmodern, so there's a mix of it's just socialism, right? Fascism is socialism. It's just a variation of socialism. The people were right. This isn't Marxist because it's not Marxist socialism. It's a fascist socialism. And there's communism in there, and as postmodernism does, it takes pieces of this and that of the past and Frankenstein's it into a monster. So it's going to be a Frankenstein monster of communism and fascism, socialism, in all its worst parts into one massive Frankenstein monster. And it's going to be multinational, not. It will be what the Third Reich hoped to do with, and it will require no armies invading another country. It's already ready to go. They were just waiting for this election to be over and for Trump to be removed. And now they can go forward with the agreements that they had beforehand. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's open on the Great Reset. Just look at it. They want to do a great reset of the economy. So I think back to the point at hand, what's the reason to stay on Twitter? To just to make a target on you? I know people are saying, "Oh, I want to hear the news." Everything you're going to hear on there is going to be fake. Most of it's fake now. Most of the people like me who would be able to decipher it will be gone. We would be shouted down, and we would be the first examples made of after the initial purge. You're not going to influence anybody. You're going to have people, you already have people on there that are pretending that nothing's going on, and they watch their hockey or the football or the basketball and watch whatever show sort of comes out because there's no actual anything else to do. Everyone's locked in their house with this pandemic, and they pretend that everything's fine. No idea what's going on. They're not going to go on Twitter. Like, those people aren't going to go on Twitter and be like, "Hey, what's going on? I'm going to check out this Twitter thing." Not going to happen. The very smart people who are already falling in line. You probably noticed that. So there's a few of us that's still out there, but like I said, what's the point? I mean, I'm still there because I'm trying to bring as many people over, and not everyone's on there every day, so I want to make sure that people that do want to follow me on other places have that opportunity. But I'm also waiting for that last hammer to drop, because I think the last big red pill moment is going to be what happens on Inauguration Day. If nothing happens, whatever their reaction is, like the establishment reaction is going to be, it's going to be possibly a red pill moment. If what I fear might happen happens, and I just wish people just please stay away from the Capitol. From now until past whatever, just don't go to the Capitol. It's a lost cause. Nothing good is going to come of it. You're not going to win, and it's only going to be violent, and that's not good. So, but if something does happen, that's going to be a red pill moment, and whatever the aftermath of that, it's going to move fast. So it's going to be, you're going to have your delete your Twitter account button ready to go. I know I will. So I want to see what that fallout is. Just for me, I need to, if I strategize, I have to see kind of what's going on in the world. I have to see what people are doing, and I have to see things, and then I see where the chess pieces are going. That's how I've been kind of, I'd say, mostly accurate over this little bit. After that, I don't know, I might, leave an alt account on there and just maybe to see if anything's what your enemy's thinking kind of thing. But it's not hard to know what they're thinking at this point, what they're planning. So breaking down the points. So you have no influence left. You'll have very little influence left. Everybody on there that's left will be afraid to back you up when you do influence it, because you'll just be hammered with all these bot accounts and leftists and blue check marks who are now focused on you, hyper focused on you. You're going to be beaten down. You'll be, and then, it's just short. Once they get rid of the bigger groups, then you get removed from PayPal or your bank or whatever. So it's like, it's not hiding per se. I'm not going there to hiding. I'm going there to live my normal life as best that I can while we still can. And we can have conversations with those people of like, hey, if you want to talk about secession or talk about building an economy or like all positive things, right? It's going to be building. Like, how do we build a world where we don't have to live under these rules, or can we, what can we do? But mostly for us, we need to build positive development. You need to build things. You need to build an audience, and if you can gain more people, you're going to gain more people who are looking for that refuse. So those are the people you're going to need to influence, right? The people who are scared and want to go somewhere, and they're going to come to these other sites, and they're going to be looking for refuse. That's where you need to, you're going to have to focus on any sort of influence you have. And you do that by building things and creating the world that we want to live in, which is warm, peaceful, intelligent, have philosophical discussions, and we don't cancel people, and we don't label them, and we don't ostracize them. And I'm so sick of the woke, and so sick of this divisiveness and this political stuff. Like, I want it to be over. I know it's not going to be over, but I want to spend my time building and creating. And I've wanted that the whole time, but I thought this, stopping whatever this tyranny that was coming was more important than focusing more on my art and my business. But like I said, those markers have changed. Right. So now it's on to the next stage of, decentralize. Try to build networks of like-minded people and businesses, and create economies, create jobs, create businesses, create art, create music, create movies, influence, show people what the fun side of life is, what the free side of life is, and that it's better. And maybe we can get enough people in there that it turns the tide of public opinion that we want our liberty back. And we do it peacefully. Well, the entire time the answer has always been just refuse peacefully. Lockdowns, if enough people refused the lockdowns, it would be peaceful and it would end. If enough people refused the woke would have been gone. But they didn't. If you do it now, it would still work. If people abandon what the left is doing, it would still work. But they're afraid. And they're right to feel afraid. They have given them all the power that they need to do what they're planning to do. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is conspiracy. Maybe I'm wrong this time. Regardless of whether that's true or not, there's no place on Twitter. You can already feel it. It's dead. It's a cesspool. It's even more of a cesspool of hate now. It's just makes my skin crawl being on there now. I stay there for the few people that we like, but it's just repeating myself. It's like, oh, these people are fascists. Look, these are the real fascists. And all it does is people think that you're being, it's a counter narrative. This is fake news, and this is conspiracy theories, and this is what all you right-wing people do. Like, I'm not even right-wing. I can't accused of being right-wing, because you're going to be right-wing no matter where you are against the woke. Let's see. Do I have anything else? I have some notes. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me if there's still a benefit, and I'm wrong about the landscape on Twitter. I, I, I don't see any reason. So if you can give me a reason to stay on Twitter, um, I'd love to hear it. I mean, it can't be the size of my audience because I've had under 100 people so far on Minds and getting way more likes and interactions than I do with my audience size on Twitter. So what does that say? Like, I have a big audience that either aren't active, mute you, or don't see your content because of the algorithm. Well, I don't want that kind of audience. I think even people with hundreds of thousands only get about the same percentage, like 10% interaction. Well, I'd rather have 10% of my audience that interacts with me almost all the time. I don't want a big audience. I want a decent sized audience that likes my work, that wants to buy the products that I put out because they enjoy them. And I want to earn a nice living that way. That's my goal. You can't do that on Twitter. They're going to attack you and your work and where you get your money from and your servers. I'm like, yeah, they might come after, and they've already come after the other platforms, but some of them are built where they can't, and we'll have to deal with that at that time. I think the more decentralized you go, get your own website, get your own servers, build an audience so that on a more safer platform, that if they start coming for that platforms, you have your own websites and you have your own things that we can visit each other and share on those things. So there's options that we can do, but it can't be out in the open, right? Like, you're not hiding. You're just doing it outside of the woke left and the Fourth Reich's eyes of what people are thinking. You're gonna have to kind of put your head down and do your stuff not in the public sphere of Twitter. And it's gonna crumble too, because they're already going down. Like, no new people are going to use Twitter. No new normal people. It's just going to be bootlickers and fascists. It's disgusting. There's already bootlickers and fascists. There's just a few of us in there going like, hey, you guys are all bootlickers and fascists. So I don't know. It's not fun. It's mentally taxing. I mean, I can handle it mentally, but if there's no point to it, then why deal with that? And the only thing I can see is that some of the accounts won't go to the other places that I am. And that would suck because you would lose, connections. But that's up to them. I mean, they don't want to move off. I mean, you don't even have to move off Twitter completely, but you got to get your stuff over onto other sites and start building your audience there now, because I think you should get off. I know there's a lot of people that are still going to fight on there, but man, I don't think it's a winning strategy at this point. I think this is going to be decades long, trying to influence in smaller levels, decentralized levels. And it's going to be painful for a lot of people. So if you want to reduce your pain, try to find avenues where you can secede away from this tyrannical system. If you can secede from it, maybe we can have a happy life and influence future generations. All right, well, I think I've rambled on long enough. Like I said, if I'm totally wrong on all this stuff, it's just my opinions. It's just stuff I'm thinking about and why I'm eventually going to, at the very least, just stop using Twitter. I'm already kind of, yeah. If I'm totally wrong about this, let me know, comment or whatever. I don't haven't decided where I'm going to put this yet, but comment below if you can, or message me on Twitter while I'm still there. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my sketching. I'm going to do some more sketching. I don't do enough just loose sketching and pencils and stuff, so I'm enjoying it. Yeah. Peace.